Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another horror movie review. And this time we'll be talking about Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre III.
I'm Sylvia Saska.
And I'm Jen Saska.
And we're the Saska sisters. Get a part of this.
Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
Subscribe, it's the little button
Down there.
It's
Blood
nothing.
E with 2 E's.
Bloody Jacob for sexy, awesome, exclusive content. And actually a for real friend of the Saskas.
Yeah, we love him. Support his stuff.
Please support your local artists. Please. Mwah.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I decided to celebrate after eating dinner with the family with, a little cannibalism and one big and special chainsaw. And as with this entry into the TCM franchise. Sorry again, I'm not going on camera right now. I'm just kind of full and a little out of it. But I still did want to talk about this movie while it was fresh again in my mind. I hadn't. I don't think I've ever actually watched this one in full before. So this is an interesting experience for me. I mean, I had bought a copy of it quite some time ago, but my stack of movies I need to watch by my TV is pretty massive. But I was in the right mood for some reason. I thought it would fit the Thanksgiving holiday, and sure, you heard my argument for it just a second ago. Yeah, the story in this one, it's pretty typical for a massacre movie. According to Google, driving through Texas, a young yuppie couple, Michelle, Kate Hodge, and Ryan, William Butler, stop at the Last Chance gas station, but after they witness the owner attacking a hitchhiker named Tex, Viggo Mortensen, they panic and flee in their hasty departure. They get lost and soon find themselves pursued by a chainsaw-toting maniac known as Leatherface. R.A. McAuliffe. While running, the couple bump into survivalist Benny, Ken Forey, who they team up with in an effort to escape. And yeah, so like I said, the plot is pretty by the numbers, for a slasher movie, or especially, TCM film specifically. And this is one I'd always heard mixed reviews on. It's obviously not talked about like the original film, not even as much as the second film, yet it's not as bashed constantly as The Next Generation is. It's just sort of this middle ground that no one really talks about too much, but yet it does have pretty mixed, pretty mixed outlook on it in general. But I gotta say, I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised by this one, guys. No, I think my personal favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie might be the 2003 remake, just for me. It's between that one, and I actually like the beginning as well, and I even liked elements of Texas Chainsaw, like, oh my god, that's not allowed, right? And of course, the original for what it is as well. But I think this movie here, Leatherface 3, is definitely better than, well, obviously, The Next Generation. It's kind of weird compared to that Leatherface movie from 2017. That's kind of a different type of thing, I guess. But yeah, I do like it more than The Next Generation. It is probably overall better than Texas Chainsaw, although I did like what they did with this character in Texas Chainsaw. I like him here too. And I don't know, I thought it was, yeah, I did see some positive reviews on this when I was scouring like IMDb and such, and, in preparation for talking about it. And there's some kind of review that said it was like a good middle ground between the original film and TCM 2. And now I haven't watched TCM 2 in quite some time, with Dennis Hopper and everything. But it was definitely, as you guys know, more campy. It was not really taking itself as seriously. I mean, sure, you had Bill Moseley in there, but I don't know. That one's good. If you're in the right mood, I'll probably rewatch that one again sometime. But I didn't feel like I had to go in order again because, after the original film and especially after the second, they kind of all stand alone except the 03 remake and the beginning. So I didn't think it was bad of me to skip over those since I had for sure seen those before. So I actually prefer this one to the first sequel. Because I felt like in TCM 2 they sort of had Leatherface be more of a kind of supporting character. He felt like just more of an ensemble, and a lot of times they do emphasize the family dynamic quite a bit, which is a constant part of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. But he didn't even feel like the most threatening. He was kind of a little bit more there. He didn't feel as much of a threat. In this, they bring sort of a grimmer, more self-serious tone to it, while having some, kind of off-the-wall personalities from a couple other members of the family. But Leatherface is taken pretty damn seriously in this movie again. And of course he's, put down by a couple other members of his family, or berated anyway. But he actually sort of stands up for himself with one in particular in a pretty funny and satisfying moment in the movie. Or that's something else I want to talk about. They gave Leatherface somewhat of an actual character in this movie, which was I was pleasantly surprised by. Which is why I like Texas Chainsaw as much as I do, is because they tried to make him not quite as straightforward as usual. But it's not the same way in this case. But like Leatherface, he ends up taking like these tapes or these musical stuff from some of his victims, and he's really fascinated by it. But because he didn't catch Ken Foree's character, one of his family members tosses it into the flames or the oven or whatever it was. But then Leatherface actually grips him by the throat and sticks his hand in to get it out for him, even though it's already melted. So it was actually kind of cool to see Leatherface stand up for himself like that. And they're kind of noting how he's been more sort of out of control lately, a little bit more unpredictable. Maybe he's not really falling in line with them as finely as he usually does. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, I didn't need for him to try and save the regular protagonists or anything, but just to see that he's not just like a whipping boy or like a a pet for the family, I thought was a little nice. And and you see this scene where he's actually using this I forget what you'd call it, but basically like this little kid activity game where he sees a picture and he has to type in what it is. He sees this picture of a clown, I think it is, or like a person or something, and he keeps typing food, but it says that says incorrect, and he keeps trying food. And so I don't know, maybe trying to get into his head that, okay, why is this being told it's wrong? It's his excuse me, sorry guys. Why is this being told wrong? Because this is how I was raised, so I brought it up. So this is really confusing and frustrating. And don't worry, he doesn't make like a hero turn or anything, but it's just interesting to see Leatherface have issues, or just not be portrayed quite as straightforward as he is in some of the other films. But yeah, so Leatherface, he was very good in this movie. He was played by, for the most part, R.A. Miheliff. I keep butchering his name. And by the way, the look of Leatherface is one of my favorites, so along with those remake films. I think he actually looks more intimidating, a little scarier than he does in the original film, and especially the second. I like his look here, his main, mask that he has. you know, a little gnarly. I like the way he looks with his teeth at the same time. There's some good makeup effects guys working on this as well, I should also mention. Let's see. Okay, I had names in my head. I should know these names, but it's not really coming up right now. Hold on. Sorry guys, kind of feeling weird before I did this video, but I wanted to do it anyway. Yeah, Greg Nicotero is one of the makeup supervisors on this. You guys should know who that is. Walking Dead. Robert Kurtzman, who's done a bunch of horror films for decades now, who I actually met for Wishmaster not too long ago. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And then speaking of Leatherface as well, Kane Hodder was actually a stunt double for RA here. There's a little picture of him there. So yeah, I had heard Kane talk about that before, how he was actually Leatherface at one point as well, and not a lot of people seem to be openly aware of that. Yeah, so, you know, it's not in most of it, it's just like probably the bigger, you know, harder hitting scenes maybe, but it's still kind of cool to know. And if you look back on it, I think you can kind of see some of Kane's stances perhaps, or something, who knows. But yeah, so I think Leatherface, they really hit the mark with him in this movie, more than the other sequels, and I kind of wish this film would get more credit even just for that. So I think they did a good job of making it a little harder than the other ones were. Another thing is, this movie was kind of butchered to hell, though, by, you know, the editing, the MPAA, or whatever you want to say. It was going to get an X rating, so I had to trim it down, so I cut a lot of the gore. And there's still some violence, but others that goes off camera right before something hits the person, or it's kind of off screen, and that is kind of bothersome if they had left those in. If we had seen a guy get torn with the chainsaw down the middle while he's hanging upside down, maybe that would have pleased fans even more. So it is a bit odd. It makes it a slight bit unsatisfying in certain spots, but I also kind of knew this going in. But still, you know, I think there's a certain at least fair amount of effectiveness with some of the situations in the film. They had Viggo Mortensen in one of his earlier roles, you know, playing, you know, Texas here. Or Tex, excuse me. One of those more well-known actors that started in a horror film, like Matthew McConaughey in The Next Generation. He actually fits in more here than McConaughey did, although McConaughey is, like, weirdly entertaining in Next Generation. You know, he kind of tries to charm Kate Hodges' character and her brother, and you just know the guy looks a little too off, and you find that out later. He's actually part of the family. He was a highlight. There's also this little girl, I don't have her name, and it is kind of random where did all these extra family members come from, but you know, it is what it is. She was fine for her part. You know, really don't see too much over. There's kind of a cute little thing between her and Leatherface at the dinner table. You have Alfredo here working at the gas station, then he comes back up later. Probably the least threatening of them, but, you know, the guy put a decent amount of effort into his speeches and mannerisms. Probably the most, you know, campy character in the movie. There's another member, I didn't get a picture of him, but he was alright as well. He was functional. I just think he was the least memorable of the group of characters here. And then the mother, I guess. There's also the old grandpa still alive in this movie too, by the way. But the mother, she has this voice, you know, kind of box sort of thing. She was alright, you know, a little too normal together, perhaps. I don't know. Some of the other family members were a little too clean at certain points, I think. But the actress didn't do a bad job. I thought she was competent. We gotta talk about Kate Hodge as the sister here. I actually liked her. I mean, certain bits with her and William Butler, sometimes they feel like their delivery is not quite as good as it could be. But I did like her. You know, I thought she was. You know, I've seen weaker female protagonists in these kinds of movies. I thought she was fine. And I did kind of had fun with her when she sort of jumps in at the crazy towards the end of the movie when she's trying to fight back. And, you know, I like that. I enjoyed her. And then Ken Foree, of course, who you guys probably recognize as Joe Grizzly. For some reason the image isn't coming up. There he is. Yeah, I liked him as well. It's good to actually see him in a big leading role. And they did a lot more with his character than you might initially expect, which is kind of good to buck that trope at the time, I think, for 1990 horror flick. And he is definitely that, like, you could tell, a fan favorite character in the movie. They actually changed it so he'd be in more of the movie, and even well, I'm guessing you guys have seen it, but he's in it for more than originally planned. I'll just say that. I think that was a good choice. So yeah, Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I think it's probably within my top 3 or 4 films of the whole franchise. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was solid. I didn't see a whole lot wrong with it. It drags a tad, but I actually like the scenes at the dinner table, and I don't know, like, despite it being cut so much, I think it's one of the better portrayals of Leatherface in the whole series. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about it. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe. And if I had to rate it, I'm giving it like an 83%, B minus, somewhere in there. Let me know what you guys thought. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe. And I do kind of plan on doing a rankings of the TCM films at some point, so look out for that sometime down the road. And peace.